Welcome in. Today we have another interesting chat with the delightful Lady Colin Campbell. Lady C, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the coronation is in the rearview mirror now. It's been done. Right afterwards, you gave it a 97%. Have you changed your mind at all, or do you stick with that?
I stick with it. I stick with it. I think it certainly wasn't everything I would have wanted. Uh, had I been queen, I'd have done things differently, but I'm not queen, so I think it was by and large a success. I think it wasn't a whole, well, I didn't give it 100%, but I think I was very generous giving it 97%. Let's put it that way.
Well, I got up at 1:30 in the morning, as a lot of my friends did. There's something about watching it live that really resonates within people rather than watching it afterwards. But you know what? I can see why, with everything going on in the country, why he scaled back. But as someone from America that doesn't have all this, it would have been nice to see all the robes and tiaras and the pomp. And it just, I mean, it was lovely. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I really a little disappointed with that.
Well, that was a large part of my 3%, because, if the king wishes to give the message that the aristocracy, which does sterling work locally and nationally, is irrelevant, the only reason why he would regard it as relevant, because we do our jobs just as how he does his, would be because there's a hereditary element which calls into question the monarchy. So I thought it was a mistake, but I also understood why he did it, because he's giving people the message that we are yesterday's men and women, and they, the great people, are today's and tomorrow's men and women. And that really was the message. And he gave it loud and clear. And let's hope he doesn't need our help down the line, because I'm prepared to give it, but an awful lot of people aren't. So
He did ruffle a little bit of feathers there, but the ceremony itself was quite beautiful. You've got to admit that. The crown, the crown.
I say, oh, I've never seen so many dreadfully dressed people, as if they were at very cheap weddings, with ghastly headdresses, no tights, open-toed scandals, not even sandals. I'm sorry, I had a coronation ball that evening, which was open to the public, and it was in traditional attire, and people, even some of the ordinary people, made the effort. They went out, they bought tiaras, they were fake, some of us had on real tiaras, but they made the effort. So it's not that the people given the chance wouldn't have made the effort, it's that they weren't given the opportunity to make the effort. And the attire was that of a really rather tacky wedding with people who don't know how to dress. Sorry.
That really was my only problem with the whole thing. But the crowning was interesting. Like I said, I've seen the crowning of Queen Elizabeth II on documentaries. Besides the opening of Parliament, when might we see that crown or a crown again on the King and Queen?
Well, usually not. That's the point. But also, normally at the state opening of Parliament, the Queen wears a tiara, her ladies in waiting wear tiaras. At this coronation, neither the Queen nor her two ladies in waiting wore tiaras, one of whom was her sister, the other of whom was her good friend, Fiona Shelburne that was, now Lansdowne. And I don't know if you clocked Lady Lansdowne's brooch. It was absolutely the best piece of jewelry in the whole of the Abbey, with the possible exception of the crowns.
Yes, yes, it was beautiful. I did catch that. So we won't. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. When the Queen Elizabeth II, her last opening of Parliament, didn't she set the crown on a table?
I think so, yeah, but you know, by then she was very ill.
Yes, but will the king wear it then instead of putting it on a table? Will he actually wear the crown at the opening of Parliament?
I have absolutely no idea. You know, he likes his informality. He likes being a man of the people, as long, of course, as he's not the people. As long as he represents the people, he loves being a man of the people. So,
Yeah. Well, have you noticed anything different about his words, his tone, his demeanor since between Prince Charles and King Charles? Have you noticed personally any change in him?
yes, he's more restrained, he's more majestic. Oh, he tones down a bit of the pinkaroony stuff that he's always been prone to. And so I think he's acquitting his role perfectly adequately in that regard. You know, he understood he needed to modify, and he has modified. And I think he's also become more stately. And I mean, he started out being brilliant. You know, I think the Coronation antagonized some people, but putting that aside, I think he's been pretty good.
Great, that's good to hear. A lot of people over here are asking me about his health because obviously his fingers are swollen. Can you explain to us what is going on with his health right now?
Well, he's always had fat fingers. Diana used to be very naughty, commenting on his fingers and saying, "You notice how fat they are." So he's always had fat fingers. But yes, there are questions being asked about his health. But I prefer not to go into that because I don't really want to violate his privacy. But yes, there are questions being asked.
Well, you have a fabulous, highly rated YouTube channel, and there are several others. Somebody asked me to start one. I said, no, there's so many out there that are wonderful and have great resources. I'm curious to know, does the palace have dedicated people that watch these and report back or make lists of what's going on around the world? Because they are around the world. Do they know what's going on online?
I have absolutely no idea, none at all. And any relations I have with the palace would be on a totally confidential basis. So I wouldn't be able to disclose my own interactions with them. But I will tell you, they are very, I limit them severely. I'm very careful that my contact with the palace is as limited as it needs to be. And I have always functioned on that basis because it's the only way to maintain one's autonomy.
Well, and you do it so well because you do bring us information that is true and relevant without compromising anybody. So I don't know anybody that would know who your information is coming from, but you manage to you have little, I'm not going to call them spies, but we'll just call them contacts everywhere. So you do bring relevant and really informative discussions for your viewers.
Well, you know, it's just a matter of serendipity, because of the family I was born into, the world I was brought up in, the world I have lived in all my life. I know a lot of these people. I've been very friendly with some of them for most of my life. I mean, I have friendships with some of the royals going back over 50 years. So, of course, I know what's going on, because I'm a part of a world that overlaps with this British royal family. And we all talk, and everybody talks, and everybody knows everybody else, and everybody knows everybody else's business. So, and the reason why I have information that journalists don't have is I'm not a journalist, you know. People like me, as soon as you see a journalist coming, you're like a tradesman in a Cairo souk who's about to be assaulted by thieves. You slam down your shutters. And, you know, journalists and servants, you just slam down the shutters for. And in my world, and I'm sure in your own world, we rely upon the fact that if people are suitably behaved, that they will know what to say and what to do and when to say it and when to do it. So there's an element of trust that goes along with it as well. And I monitor my information, I monitor what I say. You know, there are principles and protocols that go beyond speaking to people over the television or on YouTube. And ultimately, the most important thing to me is that I maintain my integrity, and that the people who matter to me know they can trust me.
That's why we love you so much. I mean, you do have such a loyal following, include myself in that. Speaking of contacts, I do have some contacts up in Santa Barbara area, Montecito.
Oh, do dish, my dear, dish.
My mouth shut for the time being. But you know, there's plenty of rumors going around, whether they're validated or not, about a possible split between the Montecito Harkles. I have looked at the king has automatic legal custody of the children. I know he won't enforce that, but if there would be any kind of inkling that they were going to split, and there was something about Meghan that wasn't what he pleased, what wasn't to his pleasing about raising the children, would he ever step in your opinion? Do you think he would step in and take control?
What you are referring to is a ruling by George the First, if I remember correctly. It might have been George the Second, but I think it was George the First in relation to George the Second's children, claiming that the monarch has the right to custody of his grandchildren. But that is a British ruling. It does not apply in the United States of America. American law applies in the United States of America, and the Hague Convention overrides the whole package. Now, of course, sovereign law kicks in and sovereign status kicks in. And there are privileges that are awarded under sovereign status that can actually possibly override national law and even international law, such as the Hague Convention, because sovereign law is itself a special international status of the law. But it's a lot more complicated than just saying, well, the king could decide this and that it can be done, or that Harry can implement the other. And you know, Meghan is a street fighter. She's come up from the gutter with the stench of the sewer about her. And she behaves as if the stench of the sewer is the finest perfume, attar of roses with lots of posies. And it's, I would imagine she would, unless it suited her in a worldly sense and in a practical sense, I think she would fight tooth and nail and create a monumental fuss, not only because she enjoys being a drama queen and creating a fuss, which she does, but also because she would be able to see that there would be coinage to receive from it at the end of the day. So, but it's not that simple and straightforward.
Yes, well, over here we refer to it as the royal soap opera. I don't know what you guys do over there. Do you consider it just, it's just unbelievable, everything that's going on.
I think we all find it extremely distasteful. Even their supporters now find it distasteful. They have managed to alienate and antagonize even their most, with few exceptions, even their avid supporters. I mean, they are really reviled, and people mock them. They think they're a joke. They think they're an embarrassment. They think that they're pathetic, and they just wish they'd shut up or disappear, or preferably do all.
That's the same sentiment in this country as well. I have to tell you, that is the prevailing attitude now over here. Thank God it took us forever to get there. A lot of us felt that way from the beginning, but it does take some time to realize what's going on. And I'm glad that the American media and the people are waking up. Let me tell you that you have some really hunky guys over in England. I'm speaking Vice. I love Princess Anne's husband, Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. I've always thought he was adorable. Johnny Thompson. Everybody talks about Johnny Thompson. Yes.
Oh, the heat. Oh. I'm doing Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally quite naturally.
He just really took the world by storm. And actually, I think Peter Phillips is adorable. I really like him.
Oh, he's gorgeous looking.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Anybody else? Those guys are. I would hope that Timothy Lawrence would take on some more roles. Actually, Peter Phillips. That leads me to my next question for you. Several months ago, Princess Anne gave an interview where she did not agree with slimming down the monarchy because a lot of the full-time royals are aging out. And there's not that many left to take on all the responsibilities and the events. They need to be seen and be out and do their job. And there's not that many left. There won't be that many left, unfortunately, soon. Let's talk Zara and Mike Tyndall, Peter Phillips, Beatrice, possibly Eugenie. If any one of them or all of them decided they wanted to be full-time royals, what would the steps be for them to be able to do this?
Well, first of all, Princess Anne's children are not royal. They simply have a royal mother. Mm-hmm. Royalty is patrilineal, not matrilineal. So unless it is the children of the monarch, but the children of a princess whose father is not a prince are not royal. So desirable as it would be to have Peter Phillips and Zara Tyndall and Mike Tyndall as well along, they're not royal unless they were somehow given par-royal status. They are not royal, so they have no entitlement to be functioning as royals. Eugenie and Beatrice do, and the two who also do and who I think should be incorporated are James VII and Louise Windsor. They have been impeccably brought up. They're beautifully behaved. But I have been saying what Princess Anne is now saying. I've been saying it for years because, of course, I used to do a lot of charity work. And I knew from my charity work that this whole idea of a slimmed down monarchy wasn't going to work, because 98% of royal duties are not ever reported upon in the newspapers or on television. They are perfunctory, ordinary, boring things like going to a school, greeting school children, honoring the headmistress, the geography teacher, then going to another event and, it's cutting ribbons and greeting dinner ladies, that sort of thing. It's a boring work. Diana used to say, not another F word, boring mayor, and that's most of royal duties. And you need a wide base of royals to fulfill these duties, because even though they don't get press attention, they get attention from the local community, and it makes a massive difference to people, and they never forget the event. So, just because people nowadays seem to think, and Charles has fallen for this rubbish, that just because it's not reported, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, 98% of what isn't reported still matters. And he needs to get that through his skull. And they need to increase the numbers. I mean, I think the average age of the senior working royals is over 70. Princess Alexandra, with due respect, is very ill. She's got fibromyalgia, and she's, I don't think, ever going to function again. Her elder brother, the Duke of Kent, I was at something with him week before last. I mean, he fires on all cylinders, but he's batting 90. He's nearly 90. It's the Gloucesters, they're older than I am. I'm 73. They're older than I am.
You're young, you're young.
Where are all of these people, even if they were younger, there are not enough of them to go around. And it was obvious that this was an ill-considered notion. And I've been saying it for years. And I'm glad Princess Anne has said it, because somebody needed to say it. But Charles is very obstinate. And this has been one of his babies. And he's going to find that the baby pukes and mews and carries on disgracefully and lets everybody down. And he needs to get himself a new bath, bathe the baby in proper bath water, and present it in triplicate. It's as simple as that. There are not enough people to go around.
Now, you mentioned Lady Louise. I adore her. I think she's marvelous. I just think the way she acts and presents herself, she has the opportunity, the choice to have a royal title. Is that correct? She's just stayed with Lady Louise?
She is technically Her Royal Highness. She is technically Her Royal Highness Princess Louise of Edinburgh. That's what she is technically. And she may call herself Lady Louise Windsor, but she is technically Her Royal Highness Princess Louise of Edinburgh.
And
let's see what happens. I mean, the reality is being royal is quite onerous and boring. It's, you're trained for it to work effectively. You're trained irrespective of your natural tendencies or attributes from early childhood to function as a star, whether you have star quality or not. They are trained to behave in a certain way. If that training doesn't start when they're young, it's very difficult, unless they have ambition, to close that gap. Now, Catherine Wales had the ambition. Sophie Edinburgh had the ambition. They do it brilliantly. But their children born into the same situation, if they're not schooled from the word go, and I will say the Edinburgh children have been very well brought up, and I think that they will acquit themselves very well as working royals. Whether they want it or not is open to question, you know. But
because they look like fine examples of the family. I love them. I think they're both adorable, and I would hope that they would step up. What happened to Harry? I mean, he was supposedly brought up, but he just wasn't brought up the right way, and apparently.
But darling, if you've read my books on Diana, you'll see I've been quoting the Queen saying this from the 1990s.
Right.
You know, none of this should be a shock to anybody. I mean, William was rescued partly by his intelligence, his natural propensity, and his grandmother. And he saw enough of what was going on to be turned off by the hyper-emotional antics. Harry had a propensity in a different direction. And Harry was not nurtured by anybody. And Harry didn't want to be nurtured by anybody. And, you know, Diana brought Harry up very badly. And it's in my books going back to the 90s. So
Right.
This should be a shock to no one. You know,
Yes.
it's a matter of action and consequence.
Well, we're going to see what happens with this amazing soap opera that's heading or is going around here. It's just unprecedented. It's a crazy situation, and it's a very sad situation. But I know most Americans are very pleased with the royal family, and we wish them all the best. And unfortunately, again, we are out of time. I wish this show would go on quite a bit longer, but I would love to have you back maybe in December, and we can finish out the year and talk about what's going on and what has happened throughout the year with the new king and queen. And
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'd love that. Thank you. Yes.
You are always a delight. You really are. And we get so many compliments and comments about your visits to us that I'm so happy to have you coming back later on.
Thank you. God bless. Take good care.
Thank you so much for joining us. And for the viewers, we will see you next time, or I will see you next time. Lady C will be back in about 5 months or so. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
With over 30 years of experience in real estate and the mortgage industry, Darlene Mays provides knowledge and expert guidance to clients looking to buy or sell a home. Serving clients throughout South Orange County, Darlene specializes in the senior community of Laguna Woods Village. Darlene works with her clients to ensure the highest level of service, from the beginning of the process right down to the closing table. If you are looking to buy or sell, who you work with really does matter. Call Darlene Mays today.